Okay, now that sounds really good. I'm here with Tom Ellison today on Wednesday afternoon, and he is going to recap some of the amendments to the California Building Code that were enacted in January this year. So now these are new fees. Okay, yeah, in just a minute. Yeah, good.
Okay, one of the new fees for the fire department for the upcoming ordinance, the 2016 Kern County ordinance.
Right.
We're proposing a fee, and I'll read what was prepared for me so it's understood exactly what the fee is.
Sure.
The Kern County Fire Department is proposing a first responder EMS fee for specific and unique services provided by the Kern County Fire Department is proposing a first responder EMS fee for specific and unique services provided by this department. The fee will cover pre-hospital emergency medical services provided to individuals during emergency medical calls. The fee amount will be calculated to recover the actual cost of these services that are not currently being provided for or supported by the tax dollar. Pursuant to state law, specifically California Health and Safety Code 13916, the Kern County Fire Department can recover the cost of providing first responder service by adopting the first responder fee. The fee aids in cost recovery of providing these services. In fiscal year 15-16, our firefighters responded to approximately 46,761 emergency medical calls, and it cost the Kern County Fire Department roughly $12 million annually to support this program. Initiating the first responder fee would allow the Kern County Fire Department to bill insurance companies for emergency medical services performed. A compassionate billing policy is being proposed under which the county would accept most insurance payments as the full payment for the first responder fee. The county would not further pursue any fee obligation for a patient who is not insured. The new fee is based on the actual cost of responding to emergency medical emergencies and the subsequent patient evaluation by our first responders. This fee is an estimated hourly rate based on the total cost of providing this service, including the following: dispatch costs, personnel costs, fuel, and supplies. Due to the significant budget challenges, this fee has become necessary.
Okay, that's pretty clear. When would that go into effect?
This, if the proposed fee is adopted in the ordinance, it will go into effect January 1st, 2017.
17, okay. And I see that you have some other things there, but since this is a joint meeting, Building and Safety at Kern has some input, and I'd like to go over and hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, John, good afternoon. The purpose of today's meeting is very much to go over Kern County amendments to the California Building Standards Codes. California, every 3 years, they revise the California Building Codes. Local jurisdictions, they have to follow, and they have 6 months there after the California adopt the California Building Standards Codes. All local jurisdictions have 6 months thereafter to make their amendments to the California Building Codes and adopt the code with the local amendments.
All right, and so these are Kern County amendments to the code that already went in effect January of this year.
That is correct.
Okay, and these would take effect January of 2017. Probably.
That is correct.
Okay.
The California building codes must be adopted by local jurisdictions by the beginning of January of 2017.
Got it.
Our code of building regulations will be based on the 2016 California building codes with our local amendments.
Okay, now Al, could you just give me a synopsis and a brief what these revisions are going to be for my contractors, so their bids would show if there's going to be fees they have to charge and things like that. They can read all these things online, I'm sure.
Yeah, today's meeting is not going to be really over what the California Building Codes changes are.
No.
We're just going to go over our local amendments to the California Building Codes.
Sure.
We will be holding some training for our local contractors.
Oh.
We plan to have those trainings and to go over the more specific changes to the code. I'm hoping by the end of this year, early next year.
Oh,
So we'll
good.
give them some more information about the code changes.
Sure.
But our amendments to the California Building Code standards are, I'll brief you on that.
Yeah.
And just briefly, in general, general amendments to our code of building regulations. We try to be as close as we can to the California Building Standards codes. We've made a few amendments to those. In the residential codes, we have adopted the patio cover appendix in the California Residential Code. We have also adopted the swimming pools appendix to the California Residential Code, as well as the sound transmission appendix. We have deleted some previous amendments that we currently have our code of building regulations to allow a non-registered engineer or an architect to build up to two-story home following the prescriptive requirements in the code. So you can build now to two-story, which what the code allows for, without hiring an engineer, as long as you follow the prescriptive requirements.
Sure.
The other major change that most people will see and the engineers will see, especially in the Rosemont area,
Yeah.
is we have hired a consultant to revisit our special wind region. As you know, Kern County has two wind regions. One is the basic, which covers anything west of Mojave area, Bakersfield, and the special wind region covers Mojave, portion of Ridgecrest, Boron, and Rosemont. And that the code doesn't have a specific wind speed for that, so they keep it up to the local jurisdictions to come up with their own wind speed, which is higher than the rest of the county.
Yeah.
So we've had, we have visited our map. We decided to hire a consultant to redo the wind study, which has resulted in Rosemont, specifically Rosemont, to be out of the special wind region.
Oh, really?
So they have some reduction in the wind speed, which is a little bit lower than what they are used to. So that's
Enough to change the materials to go on the roofs and stuff?
I will not go into a specific design, but the wind pressure will be less than what they were used to in the previous codes.
Okay.
So, and that will result in less cost. How much less, I cannot give you that. But
Sure.
There will be, so that's the good news for the builders,
Sure.
the homeowners in that area. The wind study has modified the boundary of the special wind region. So now it goes up to by the ridge of the Southern Sierra Ridge by just east of Mojave area. So it's shifted a little bit north. Portion of Ridgecrest is not part of that special wind region now also.
Sure.
So that's a good thing. The other amendments that we have made to the residential building code, as you know, all Kern County is in very seismic or earthquake hazardous area. So, and as always, we want those buildings to withstand the earthquake, and we want the footing, the foundation, to be reinforced. Or if you have a masonry wall, we do want those to be reinforced. And we've always had that requirement in our code of building regulations. So that's really it for the residential amendments that we have made to the California Residential Code.
Sure. Okay, now, Al, so that was one part of the revisions, and now this is the commercial part of the revisions, right, for Kern County?
That's correct, John. What we just covered is just the residential part of the California Building Standards codes. The other part to that is the what we refer to is the California Building Code, or what you refer to as the commercial, anything that deals with commercial applications. We try to be as close as we can to the California Building Code with very few amendments, and we have very few amendments to the California Building Code. Let's see, I'll touch on that. In the current Kern County Code of Building Regulations, we currently are requiring all A2 occupancies. A2 meaning like restaurants. If you have 1,200 square foot restaurants, our Code of Building Regulations now requires you to sprinkler that building. Whereas the California Building Code can take you up to 5,000 square feet, and if you have over 100 occupants, then you have to sprinkler it. So what we have decided to do is to stick with the California Building Code and lift that requirements out. So we took it out, we're back to the California Building Code. So those small mom and pops restaurants, less than 5,000 square feet or less than 100 occupant, they do not need to sprinkler that building.
Good news for them.
Exactly, that's in accordance with the California Building.
Sure.
So that's a little bit changed from our Code of Building Regulations. The other amendments that we have, and it has been always in our Code of Building Regulations, is if you have a building, a B occupancy meaning like an office or an assembly, once you exceed 10,000 square feet, the total building area, our Code of Building Regulations will require that building to be sprinklered. And the same thing with the fire department also requires that. And we've always had that for a long, long time. We kept it the same in our Code of Building Regulations. We made some other changes to Chapter 9 of the California Building Code just to coincide with the fire code, with the fire department, just to be consistent with the fire code. Just some modifications. The other big changes, just like what I mentioned in the residential code, is the wind map revisions. Again, we have hired a consultant to look at our wind region and come up with a little bit more detailed studies and analysis and redefine the special wind region a little bit more accurately. And I think that will result in some saving to the local area in Mojave, Rosamond area especially, and some of the Ridgecrest area.
Sure.
Because the wind pressure has gone down.
Sure.
The previous. So that's really a summary of, one more thing is just some changes in the California Building Code. The existing building code is now a separate, they call it an existing building code. It used to be part of the California Building Code as chapter, like chapter 34. They took that out and they brought it as a building code by itself, but it's still part of the building code. They just put it at the end of it.
Sure. Now, I had a question. Did the Kern County supervisors already pass all of these?
That's a good question. The reason we are conducting these meetings is to solicit comments from the public, yourself.
Yes.
And we are planning to go to the to our board of supervisors on October 11th.
Okay.
To introduce the ordinance.
Okay.
To introduce, which is the Code of Building Regulations.
Sure.
And then it will be published for 30 days.
Okay.
And then they will have another meeting 1 month, sometime at the end of November.
Sure.
That would be their final meeting to see if there is any more comments from the public.
All right. Now, if somebody wanted to comment, can they send you an email?
Of course, they can go to the meeting. We will. It is tentatively scheduled on October 11th.
Where at? In Bakersfield?
In Bakersfield area.
Yeah. Well, what if we don't want to drive all the way to Bakersfield? Can we send you an email from Rosamond?
Certainly.
Where do we send it? Where do we send it?
If you have any comments, or if anybody has any comments, I give you my card.
Yeah.
Please, I get my phone number and my email there.
Okay.
If you have any questions, have them call me.
Okay.
If they have any comments or any clarification
Sure.
that they need,
What's your email?
on my, the card I gave you, let me
Yeah.
give you my phone number, which is my
Sure.
work phone number is 661
Yes.
862
Okay.
8671.
All right.
And my email, I'll spell it for you, it's ALIA
Yeah.
at kern.ca.us. I
Okay.
think I have it,
No,
right?
it's CO
At-
dot.
Yes. Alan, what's your email so people can conveniently let you share what their input might be?
Certainly. If they have any questions or any comments, they can call me or email me. Again, my email address is alia@co.kern, Kern, .ca.us. And my phone number is 661-862-8671.
Well, thank you very much for coming out here to Mojave today. I wish we would have had a bigger turnout, but we didn't. So hopefully they can read it in the Roseman News and then go online and see this YouTube and hear it directly from you and then call you if they have questions.
Certainly. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And now we need to hear some more from the fire department. And we're back to Tom.
Yes, John, the changes to the California Fire Code, Al spoke about them, the A2 sprinkler requirements. Not a whole lot has changed. We were just aligning the current or the next code, the 2016 code,
Right.
instead of making that a more restrictive. So that's been loosened up a little bit.
Sure, and then you told me a little bit about restaurants and inspecting and,
Yeah, there's some proposed fee increases, and there's also some proposed additional permitting processes that we have, that we need to
enact. Yeah, get them
yeah,
approved. Could you
it-
just recap them really briefly so people would
Yeah.
kind of know?
The proposed construction permits, the new proposed construction permits, I spoke about, well, that's not a construction permit, but emergency responder radio coverage permit, and that has to do with buildings that the fire department, using our radio system, were not able to communicate with inside that building because of construction features of just the size. That's been a big problem for us.
Sure.
And basically, it's to set up a kind of a repeater system inside the building, and that will have a construction permit attached to it.
Okay.
Also-
Now, will you inspect buildings, and if you find that it's not installed, then you're
Well,
gonna,
that'll be part of the construction process of new buildings. This won't be retroactive
Oh,
to
okay.
existing buildings.
okay,
If we have a problem in existing buildings, we will ask that a system be put in place, but legally in our jurisdiction won't allow, we
Sure,
don't have jurisdiction on that.
Sure.
The California Fire Code doesn't give us the jurisdiction for existing buildings. So, that, again, that's a construction permit. Another construction permit would be for electrified security gates or fences that block emergency access roads. Basically, what we're trying to do is set up some safe ways that we can turn the power off to that particular gate, so our firefighters don't get electrocuted, and that we don't have to damage anything, we can get in easily. And we have a permitting process in place now, but it isn't in our current ordinance, so this is proposed to be added to the ordinance.
right.
The other one is stationary storage battery system permit, and that has to do with alternate power, and these would be the batteries that would store that power. There's a construction permit that would be attached to that, just so they're set up safely, and then the fire department knows where they're at, and we know that they have been constructed legally and that they're safe, and the guys will know how to, hopefully, as things change, we get more education on how to do that safely, and so there's lots of changes made in that area. Another one is for CO2 beverage dispensing Currently, there's a number of restaurants that have a CO2 container that holds 100 gallons, water gallons of, it's either 100 or more of the CO2 gas. And basically this permit is to set the system up correctly, provide for venting, have an alarm system that would alert the people inside the restaurant that CO2 is escaping from that system, so they're not overcome, because that will diminish the oxygen in the air. So that could become very dangerous as well. So those are the 4 construction permits that were the new construction permits, and we have 2 operating permits. One of them is what we call a mobile fueling permit, and that's for a vehicle that would fill either diesel or gasoline that would fill the tanks of motor vehicles, and that's basically how the code states it. There's rules and regulations that go along with that. We want to make sure that those are being followed, and the systems that are out there are safe, and we know where they're at, and we know who's operating them, that sort of thing.
Sure.
The other one has to do with this is a revised permit. It's not new, and it's to provide fire and life safety oversight in the commercial filming industry on big filming projects where there could be a life safety or a fire issue. The Kern County Fire Department would be involved in providing oversight in the form of a fire safety officer.
Sure.
Or equipment or apparatus or what have you.
Sure.
This is, we're in a drought situation, and it's hot and dry, and we don't want the filming industry to cause any problems. We want to be there to be able to stop it quickly.
Sure, sure, sure.
And those are basically the new permits and the new fees that will be.
Good, and people can read about how much the permits are online.
Yeah, after we propose this to the Board of Supervisors on the 11th, this will be posted on I'm sure it'll be posted on the county website along with the fire department website,
Good,
which is
good.
kerncountyfire.org.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think this will help inform all the people in
And
Roseland.
again, if anybody has any questions, they can call or email our office. The email address is fireprevention@co.kern.ca.us. And the phone number is area code 661-391-7080.
Thank you so much.